Right. Hello, everyone. Scott and Nancy here.
So you're posting on LinkedIn, right? You're doing all the things. People seem to like you and what you stand for and what you're sharing. But when it comes to those people understanding or even knowing how they can work with you, they have no clue. And there may be some gaps and holes in your messaging, in your content, in your profile, in just what you're doing on LinkedIn in general. So we want to kind of capture all of that with you guys in today's training, in today's episode. But before we do, if you would like to learn upfront what your holes and gaps are in regards to LinkedIn, Nancy and I have a free LinkedIn scorecard. It takes 2 minutes to go through it, and it's going to basically take you through how your LinkedIn profile is set up, your marketing, your branding, your connecting, your messaging, your content. And at the end of this scorecard, it's going to give you a score and it's going to let you know where you are as far as how well you could succeed on LinkedIn or what you can do to improve to succeed on LinkedIn. So, if you're watching on social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and you would like to take this free scorecard, just type the word me in the comments and we'll send you the link. If you're listening on the podcast, even easier, go to the description of the episode and grab the link there. So, Nance, let's dive on in. Let's take the swimmies off and let's jump right into the deep end. There, you and I both know we've looked at people's profiles, we've looked at what people do, and we've scratched our heads and said to them, "We don't even know what you do. We can't even figure out what you're doing." So, what are some of the things that people need to really look at so people not only like them and what they're doing, but they know what they're actually doing?
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep this so simple and I just want to focus
Let's
on
make it super difficult. Come
let's
on.
get wild. Let's
No.
make it difficult. Okay, yeah. No, I can get look. I just say it all boils down, right? You know how I always talk about business. I'm like at the end of the day, big, small, large, medium, whatever size business. Guys, it all boils down to a lot of the same things, right? If we are in business, we are in the business of helping people solve problems, right? That's what businesses are. I mean, whether it be a service-based business or a product business, we're helping people solve a problem. And the thing is one of the most common things that we see is people are not clear. Okay. And I want to just really focus for a second, actually, this whole episode on the word clarity. Clarity and simple, uncomplicated, right? Donald Miller I always use this quote. He says, "Don't be cute, be clear." Okay. We want to be very clear on what it is that we do and how we help people. Okay. And the thing is our LinkedIn profile is such an amazing, again, whenever I talk about personal branding and getting yourself out there and putting your best foot forward, right? When you want to be hired by clients, your LinkedIn like does an amazing job of teeing that up for you, right? It's got featured sections, it's got your about section. You get to show all the people you've worked with. You get to add social proof, in your recommendations. You get to do all of that. But if you look at your profile, and this is something simple, and we'll kind of talk about this a little bit more, but if you're looking at your profile yourself, I want you guys to put yourself in the shoes of your ideal audience and your ideal clients and really look at it from that standpoint and go through your profile. Is it clear who you help and how you help people? Okay, nice and simple. And if you have not boiled that down, okay, very clearly who you work with and how you help people into a sentence max, that's your homework for step one. Okay. We need to make sure it's super simple. And the thing is the clarity gap that a lot of people struggle with. I always say, right? I love that old adage, you can't see the label from inside the jar, right? Sometimes we're so in the weeds of our own business that we make things way more complicated and we explain things in this roundabout way. And I see you out there, right? Especially for our entrepreneurs and our coaches and consultants. If your family doesn't know what the hell you do, or they can't explain it to someone else, guys, we got some work to do. Okay. They should be able to clearly say, oh, so and so, this is what they do. They run a marketing agency or they have a consulting, whatever. It should be nice and simple. And the thing is we often see, people will start to post content. They'll be actually, posting great content and they'll share some thought leadership and, they'll share a little, content around their expertise and people will comment, on their post or they'll say, hey, you're doing such a great job. This is awesome. Thanks for the content. But if you ask those people, well, what does this person actually do? Or do you know how easy it is to hire them? Right? It's just not translating. Okay, so you can post great content all day long. You can, try to get those likes and comments and shares and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, what the heck are we on LinkedIn for? What are we here for? Right? It should be a specific purpose. We should be generating leads. We should be meeting amazing power partners and referral partners to help
Building
grow,
relationships.
right? Building relationships. We should be very intentional. So I don't want you guys listening just to do busy work. Okay. I don't want you just getting a bunch of people say, I like this person. I want you to get them to say, I want to hire this person, or this person needs to be on my team, or this person, oh my gosh, it's a no-brainer. Like I go back to Scott, you have over 533 LinkedIn recommendations.
Mhm.
Right? The social proof alone, someone going through and seeing that you work with so many people, seeing your headline and your banner that clearly states what it is that you do, right? It's keeping things simple. I want to give you guys the gift of clarity. And in fact, there's a little test you can do called the 2 sentence test. Ask 3 people, okay? Ask 3 people who follow you to describe what you do in 2 sentences without coaching them along, right? I know this sounds really silly and simple. If you get 3 different answers, your audience is guessing, okay? They're guessing. I mean, these could even be people that you've connected with. And again, we meet so many people. Okay. I don't remember. In fact, I've had so many connection calls and I've met some fantastic people that I've been so excited about, but I forget, right? Days go on, things continue, and I need to go back to that person's profile and say, what is this thing that they do? And if it is not clear and it is this like nice and little airy, long drawn out kind of circle way to explain what it is that you do, I'm not going to refer you. I'm not going to refer you. I'm not going to remember you. So let's get clear. Let's make sure it's simple. Guys, we have AI tools now. Okay. I don't know how many of you are using like, Gemini or Chat or Claude or whatever it might be. Use it as a brainstorming tool. Help it get you dialed in. Make sure it is super, super simple because here's the thing that we know is when people are confused, they don't buy. When people are confused at what you offer, of how you help, they don't refer you. So the thing is we really, really want to make sure that you guys understand that the real cost of being unclear is number one, your referrals start to dry up, right? Those people who used to refer you and knew exactly what you do because you just talked about it and you've known them forever, or maybe you worked with them at one point, those dry up and go away. Okay, you've got to be able to put your best foot forward by explaining it clearly. You end up competing on price, right? When people can't understand exactly, the collaboration, the way that you work with people, the clarity of, the ROI and the benefits, right? You're going to be just, again, chasing your tail trying to explain your value. Number 3, you blend in, right? You just kind of fall into that big ocean of other people doing similar things, and it is not super clear what differentiates you.
Well, standing out is really important, especially on even though you can, LinkedIn has the advantage where you can curate and build your own LinkedIn network. There, to think that you're the only one doing what you're doing, that's just foolish. But what are you doing to stand out? It's called your differentiating factor, right? So what are you actually doing so you don't blend in, so you do stand out from the crowd? And when you have a clear message like that, it really starts putting you into a category of one instead of getting mixed in with everybody else that's just praying and spraying on the platform.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it wasn't until, and in fact, I actually read this years ago. There's a book, I think it's The Seven Figure Agency. Don't quote
Yep.
me on that. It's something similar, right? But basically, the gentleman in it had talked about how he used to communicate. He had an SEO agency, and he was like, I help everyone, all businesses with their SEO. And it just drowned out in the noise. I mean, it just, no one resonated with any of that. And I think many of you right now on LinkedIn are doing something similar where you think you're clear, because I just want to take it one level deeper, is we think we're clear, but we're still in that big ocean, right? And we're not separating ourselves and we're not making sure that we're specific. It wasn't until in my own agency, right? Another business that we run, that I got super clear on the specific industry that we wanted to work with. And then that got communicated and we closed more clients and it became so much easier because we're specialized in that area, right? But we got to make sure that that's clear. So how you can close this clarity gap, right? How you can make things simple, because we want to make sure to give you some really strong, simple action. Pick one type of audience or one person, right, that you're really, really writing for, that you're showing up for. It's the exact client that you're looking for. In fact, this is an old practice in marketing, right? In marketing, we used to create client avatars, like a specific person that we're looking for. When we can get specific enough where we can say, okay, this is, the demographics. If we're looking for certain businesses, maybe it's certain business sizes, phases of business, industry, right? When you can peel back those layers with what you're comfortable with, the favorite clients that you've had, the ones that have been such slam dunks, the ones that you really specialize in, that's when things get fun. But you being clear and picking that one avenue to focus on, that is step one. Okay. And if you are just starting out, you're getting the ball rolling, at least do one layer. Okay. Even if it's industry. And I always tell people an exercise that I used to give them is pretend you're like starting a podcast. What category would that be under? Start there. So if it's like food, wellness, marketing, and then you can kind of peel back under there. Now, the second thing that you can do is name the problem in their words. What are the problems and the frustrations that your clients are really struggling with? So this is in your content. This is how you're showing up, right? It's speaking to them with the words that they're using themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've told people, right, given the advice, if you're creating videos for content or whatever, a great place to start super simply is think of the 5 biggest pain points your clients have. What are the questions that you always get when you're working with someone? How do I do this? What's the key to doing that? How do I get more this? Right? Use the words that they're using, describing those frustrations. And that's how people start to understand you and they start to connect because you're using the same words that they are. The third is make the outcome concrete. Don't just be broad. Don't just say, I help people, right? When you say, I help people, that
I
just
help
basically says,
everyone.
yeah, I'm not good at really helping any specific person. I mean, really, honestly, that just means like, okay, you're not really specialized in any specific area. Again, that person's not going to connect with you on another level. And so, again, you want to make sure that you are very clear on the results that you provide and you deliver to people. Make it clear, make it simple. Use AI to help you if you need to. Okay, make it very clear the results. The fourth is say it the same way everywhere. Okay, we're not going to post on your website something completely different than what's on your LinkedIn, than what's on your other social media, and then what's on your, book and whatever. Guys, it should all be a blanketed, right? And I call it like the umbrella, right? It should all say, right, the similar thing. This is how we build a brand. Be clear on what you do and how you help people and how they can work with you, and make sure that is clear across the board. The fifth is give one obvious next step. When people are interested, this is the thing that drives me so crazy, is when people do a good job of actually sharing what they do and how they work with people, and there's no clear next step. Like, do I go on your website? Do I book a call? This is one opportunity. In fact, LinkedIn newsletters, right? The newsletter articles, always at the end of those long form content pieces, right? You can write the article and at the very end, it should have a call to action. If someone's taking the time to watch your
Clear call
video,
to action.
yeah, to like read that big old long article or whatever that might be, because anything longer than just a couple sentences is like, long form really these days. Make sure you have a call to action. If you'd like to learn more, visit my website. If you'd like to learn more, let's book a call, right? Let's keep it nice and simple. And also, having a nice, clear call to action in your featured section is also a really, really good practice, right? We want to make sure it's simple. Okay. So just bringing it all together and kind of what we covered today is, people can still enjoy your content. That's all great, but we want to make sure it's super clear that people know how to work with you, right? We're not just creating fluffy, fun content and sharing memes and posting a bunch of stuff just to get like likes and loves. We got to remember why we're on LinkedIn, right? Why are we actually using this platform? The other thing is buyers do most of their deciding before they ever contact you. So are we putting our best foot forward? And are we clear across the board, right? Sharing what we do. Confident, right? When you are clear with your messages and you are clear on what it is that you do, it makes you so much more confident. And that opens the door for people feeling comfortable working with you. In fact, I had a call the other day um, with a new, a lead. And on that call, I was so confident in what we did. I very clearly said, this will not work if you don't do this. Here's exactly what we do. Here's who we help. Here's who we work with. Here's the benefits. Here's the ROI. I literally just went through and was so clear. I mean, I didn't have papers. I was literally speaking the exact value and the things that we did for clients. I felt so confident that again, after that call, they were like, yeah, like absolutely, I want to work together. Let's go. So it made that call very, very so much easier, right, than it would be if I was swaying or I was vague and, kind of all over the place. So make sure that you are clear. And then lastly, you want to close the gap by again, really focusing on the particular audience and the people that you want to grow, your LinkedIn with. Is it going to be partners, power partners? Is it going to be leads? The thing that I do get asked often, and I know Scott does as well, is, well, what content am I creating if I'm trying to target, and really generate referral partners, but also leads? Guys, it's going to be the same content, right? You want to show up as a thought leader. You want to show that you know what you're talking about. You want to show how you work with people, right? It's the same for both. So the more clear that you can get and the more you can paint that picture, the better.
So
Scott?
before we close out today's episode, as we kind of talked about early on, we do have a free scorecard. It's our LinkedIn scorecard that you can take. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes. We'll walk you through all the different components of LinkedIn and where you may have some gaps and voids in your business that is allowing you not to succeed on the platform. So if you're watching on social, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and you would like to take this 2 to 3 minute LinkedIn scorecard, type the word me in the comments, ME, and we will send you the link to do so. If you're listening on the podcast, even easier, just head to the description of this episode and you can grab the link there. So, everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's training and today's episode. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.